This is Michael Ostrolenk, and I'm speaking with Shahid Buttar from the U.S. Bill of Rights Defense Committee. How you doing?
I'm good, Michael. How are you?
Not bad. Now, besides all your work on Patriot Act reform and other civil liberties issues, you've been very active more recently on the National Defense Authorization Act detention provisions. Tell us a little bit about those provisions and how you're organizing to either repeal or modify them.
Sure. So the NDAA, the Defense Authorization Act, passes every year. In 2011, Congress and the President included in it a pair of provisions, detention provisions, that authorize the indefinite military detention without trial of anyone based on accusation. And that authority could extend, it does extend in the bill to U.S. citizens. It could particularly extend to activists and dissidents accused of associational or speech crimes under a part of the Patriot Act that was upheld by the Supreme Court in the Humanitarian Law Project case. That's particularly why we're very concerned about the NDAA. In the wrong hands, it could essentially represent the end of democracy as we know it. And we're very active on the ground around the country in building grassroots resistance to the detention provisions of the bill. There have been a series of congressional proposals to repeal the detention provisions of the NDAA, the strongest of which is Representative Ron Paul's bill in the House, H.R. 3785. And we're working with grassroots coalitions around the country to seek and secure local resolutions and state resolutions affirming the Bill of Rights, affirming due process, and rejecting indefinite military detention without trial.
That's fantastic. Now, the effort against the NDAA before it was passed into law and Obama signed it was very transpartisan. We had groups from all across the political spectrum. Can you kind of give us, from your experience, some of your experiences around the transpartisan nature of the opposition to it originally, and presently the transpartisan opposition of it and support for reform?
Sure. Yeah, I think it demonstrates how central due process as a value is to we the people of the United States, that it really has inspired concerns from across the political spectrum. If you go back to December, this is before the NDAA became law, when it was still a proposal, there were protests all across the country, particularly on Bill of Rights Day, and they were bottom-lined really by three sets of communities. One of them were Occupy sites, another was Tea Party chapters, and the last were peace and justice groups. And to see those different communities come together around a shared understanding and recognition of the need to defend constitutional liberties for everyone, from our federal government was, I think, very inspiring. And you see that reflected still today in the ongoing and building resistance to restore due process and the right to trial. There have been state repeal bills introduced, or resolutions introduced, in Washington State, in Tennessee, and in Virginia, all across the country. Forthcoming legislation in North Carolina. We've been talking to folks in Maryland State and in Connecticut. And there are at least local campaigns proceeding in Massachusetts, and we've been seeding the Northeast opportunities in New York State and Maine, all over the region. And the particular value to this strategy, I think, is that regardless of where on the partisan spectrum one is coming from, because these federal assaults on the Bill of Rights, particularly the denial of the right to trial and the inversion of the presumption of innocence into a presumption of guilt, it's hugely opportune for we the people to raise our voice and to do it where we're most powerful, which is in our own towns, in our own states, and to translate that political, populist, transpartisan energy here into the nation's capital.
Fantastic. And where can people go to find out more about your efforts?
www.bordc, that's Bill of Rights Defense Committee, bordc.org/NDAA. We'll take you to a campaign page. There you can find a draft resolution that's suitable for your city or town council or your board of aldermen or supervisors if you're in California. You'll find there suggested talking points about detention and why the NDAA is so problematic. You'll find news articles about the issue and calls to action, campaign materials like flyers that you might be able to use, and we'd invite you to sign up a campaign if you're willing to be a point of contact for people in your area. There's a place on the site where you can do that, and we'll do our best to send people to you. And reach out to me and my colleagues if you have any questions. We're very eager to support grassroots activists in raising voices to restore due process, and we're here to help you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.